In this video, Elon Musk has an urgent warning for the world about nuclear power and energy security. Proof Wall Street stock analysts are clueless, and I mean clueless, about Tesla. And EV stocks continue to fall apart, punishing so-called investors who failed to think at all before parting with their hard-earned, easily vaporized cash. So let's get into the video. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can get 2 free stocks with WeBull, a free stock with Stake, free Bitcoin with Coinbase, and free Bitcoin with BlockFi, and the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. So let's read this tweet from Elon Musk. Quote, "Hopefully, it is now extremely obvious that Europe should restart dormant nuclear power stations and increase power output of existing ones. This is critical to national and international security." This second line is really worth emphasizing. Elon Musk is right. This isn't important. It's critical. It needs to happen immediately. Being reliant on other countries to meet your energy needs puts you in an extremely weak position. Not just weak in terms of negotiation, but an insecure position. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you're dependent on Russia for 10% of your energy needs, and Russia decides, you know what, no more energy for you. That alone would be catastrophic. The economy of said country would likely collapse. If you've seen my recent videos, you'll understand my thoughts on energy dependence and the national security issue, so I won't go too much further down this rabbit hole. But let's try to understand, how did we get to this situation? As Elon points out, replying to his own thread on Twitter, quote, "For those who mistakenly think this is a radiation risk," which, by the way, is the majority of people who actually don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Fear and panic often causes brain damage in people. They make very dumb decisions. We've seen a lot of them over the last couple of years. So let's continue here. Pick what you think is the worst location. I will travel there and eat locally grown food on TV. I did this in Japan many years ago, shortly after Fukushima. Radiation risk is much, much lower than most people believe. Elon's right. And a final tweet, quote, "Also, nuclear is vastly better for global warming than burning hydrocarbons for energy, aka fossil fuels." And again, he's right, duh. The truth is, the vast majority of people in the general public are absolutely clueless on everything, including nuclear power. It just so happens there's been a very strong scare campaign, a few very public issues with this technology. Media have run with this, and people have a false impression that nuclear energy, nuclear power, it's dangerous, it's high risk. People living within 10 quadrillion miles of a nuclear power plant are going to have babies with birth defects, on and on and on and on. It's just not true. Unfortunately for nuclear energy, a little fear mongering, a little bit of effective propaganda, and next minute, people are petrified at the very idea of nuclear energy. Quote, "As of 2016, countries including Australia, Austria, Denmark, Greece, Ireland, Italy, Estonia, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, Malaysia, Malta, New Zealand, Norway, Philippines, Portugal, and Serbia have no nuclear power stations and remain opposed to nuclear power." Opposed to nuclear power. Why? Oh, because they bought into the narrative that nuclear power is dangerous, scary, you're going to have babies with 12 heads and so on. Not true. Gets worse. Belgium, Germany, Spain, and Switzerland plan nuclear phase-outs by 2030. And what happens when you phase out nuclear? Well, you got to get that energy from somewhere, and unfortunately at this point in time, there isn't enough sustainably generated energy to meet the need to fill the gap. So where do you get some of that energy? Fossil fuels. From who? Where do you get fossil fuels? Can anyone? Oh, wait, hang on a minute. 3 biggest exporters, I think we've got the United States, then you've got Russia. You don't really want Putin to have you by the balls. And then what's that other one? Oh yeah, the Middle East. You see how this is a bit of a problem, right? Let's take a really quick look at Germany energy generation over the last 30 years. The stuff to focus on here. First, hydro, household waste, biomass, wind and solar, all renewable forms of energy. We can see a massive increase in these forms of energy generation in the last 30 years, now making up about 40% of all energy in Germany. However, here's the problem. Nuclear energy in 1990 meeting about 30% of Germany's energy needs. Today, if you're lucky, about 10%. So what happens to that 20% gap? Sustainable energy hasn't been enough to completely fill the gap. So where do you need to get some of that energy from? How about your friendly neighbor, Russia, to meet that gap that you've now caused by shutting down, decommissioning, turning off a bunch of nuclear power plants that was super safe and didn't need to be shut down? The long and short of it is Germany finds themselves now in a situation in which they are dependent dependent upon Russia for double-digit percentages of their energy needs. In other words, Russia firmly has Germany by the balls. Imagine for a moment how dumb you need to be to voluntarily shut down safe, efficient forms of energy generation within your own country, knowing that by doing so, you'll need to seek out energy in the form of fossil fuels from somewhere like Russia. Imagine doing this over the last 2 decades. Well, that's literally what Germany's done. Round of applause for the people who made these decisions. Of course, it's not just the dependence on another country for your energy needs, but it's also the amount of money you're spending buying energy from said country. Just hypothetically speaking, imagine in a scenario in which a country like Germany, for some strange reason, was spending billions of dollars a year acquiring energy from Russia. And then, of course, Russia is free to do with that money what they please. Obviously, they'd never do anything bad, so that's totally fine. Let's move on. So, wrapping up, as Elon said, critical to national and international security is that Europe immediately restart dormant nuclear power stations and increase power output of existing ones. The big question now, is this actually going to happen? Are there enough people out there in the world in positions to make decisions about nuclear energy who aren't currently suffering from fear-induced brain damage who can make a logical, reasonable, and critically important decision? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think we'll see a massive increase in nuclear energy generation, or a minimal increase or no increase at all? Let me know your guess below. And now, just to wrap this section up, a quick analogy. Imagine Germany was a person in an abusive relationship with somebody, I don't know, let's just call them Russia. So Germany's dating Russia, but it's a very abusive relationship. Physically, emotionally, you name it, constant abuse from Russia directed towards Germany. Then imagine that Russia says, hey Germany, let's get married. And Germany says, hey great, I'd love to get married, even though you're an abusive partner, this is a terrible relationship and I should get the fuck out of it. No, let's get married, let's join ourselves together, let's bond, let's lock ourselves in with the contract. In my opinion, this would be a brain dead decision from Germany. This is essentially what Germany has done by voluntarily decommissioning their nuclear energy generation. They've locked themselves into a very unhealthy relationship with Russia. And now more proof that Wall Street stock analysts have absolutely no clue, and I mean no clue whatsoever, about Tesla. Tweet here from Gary Black discussing Wall Street analyst estimates for Tesla in 2022 and 23 continuing to rise while Tesla stock is falling. Wall Street's consensus estimates for Tesla deliveries in 2022 for the full year, as it stands, as I record this, 1.438 million. That's it. 1.438 million deliveries. Earnings per share estimate embarrassingly not even at $11. So first things first, as Gary Black points out here, we've got earnings estimates in red, we've got Tesla's stock price in white. Generally speaking, there's a strong correlation between the two. Sometimes Tesla gets a little bit ahead of estimates, sometimes estimates a tiny bit ahead of Tesla, just on a couple of occasions, but very rarely. Usually the stock price is ahead and Wall Street's chasing. By the way, Wall Street estimates still dramatically under where Tesla will come in. So the point of Gary's tweet here, this disconnect between earnings per share estimates and Tesla's stock price is likely to close. So don't be surprised if we see Tesla moon soon. Of course, anything could happen, but this is an anomaly that I think will not persist. What I really want to focus on though is the laughably low consensus estimate for Tesla deliveries this year. I honestly don't understand what these analysts are doing, what they're smoking, how high they are. I have absolutely no idea how they're coming to these numbers. Obviously this is consensus, some will be above, some below. But these people, at least academically, are quite intelligent. Are they bad at math? Are they unwilling to consider any volume from a factory that's not already producing vehicles, even though it's obvious that it will be at some point in this year? Is that too much intellectual effort to think, hang on a minute, okay, it should be open by this month, so they ramp up, oh okay, so they'll be producing vehicles out of this factory for 2/3 of the year, or 3/4. Let me add some volume from those. How quickly did Shanghai ramp? Do I think this will ramp as fast, slower, or even faster? I mean, it's not that hard. It really isn't. So how are they coming up with these numbers? I honestly have no clue. In my base case, I'm about 250,000 deliveries above where the Wall Street consensus estimate is for Tesla in 2022. Either they're way off the mark, or I'm way off the mark. Obviously, I'm the one that's wrong because they've been getting Tesla right for years and I haven't. So I'm just going to defer to their opinion. I hereby revise my Tesla delivery estimates in 2022 down to 1.438 million per the Wall Street analyst consensus, because Tesla is going to abandon plans to produce and deliver any vehicles in Austin and Berlin this year. It'll just be production and deliveries from Shanghai and Fremont. This is about where the Wall Street thinking is at this point in time. They're literally not assuming any volume from Austin or Berlin. Now, to be clear, they may actually be assuming there is some volume from these factories, but they're so dumb that their estimates for Shanghai and Fremont are so low that drags things down. You know what? Here's a prediction. Somebody set a reminder to check back in early 2023. I believe that the combined deliveries from Fremont and Shanghai alone in 2022 will exceed the current Wall Street consensus for Tesla deliveries this year, just from Fremont and Shanghai. I'll be right, and Wall Street should, but probably won't be extremely embarrassed. And now we have an article discussing the bell curve. Quote, "The stock market has no mercy for Tesla rivals. The love at first sight between investors and young manufacturers of electric vehicles seems to have died. As often in every relationship, the beginnings are marked by great promises. Everything seems beautiful. Everything seems light. Few important questions are asked because there is hope. Hope is not a strategy. There is hope that we have drawn the right number so that we close our eyes to things that would normally have alerted us to slow down." The author of this article is actually striking a chord. The people who invested in these EV startups, Tesla's so-called competition, almost universally didn't engage their brain at all. Instead, they were driven by emotions and or suffering from severe brain damage. I'm not really sure which. We look forward to better tomorrows until something happens that derails the whole beautiful mechanism. We then open our eyes and begin to ask questions we should have asked from the beginning. This is somewhat the situation in which investors in Tesla's rivals currently find themselves. The time to ask the uncomfortable questions seems to have arrived. Actually, the time to ask those questions was before. Anyway, let's just move on. With the exception of Lucid and Fisker, the shares of most of these firms, Rivian, Nikola, Fraudstown Motors, and Hyliion Holdings, have crashed after surging. Prices of these stocks are now below their IPO price, and it's not certain if they will recover in the short term. Or ever. Most of these firms entered the market through a reverse merger with a special purpose acquisition company, a SPAC. Typically, SPACs command an initial offering price of $10, comprised of an equity unit and a warrant, with shares having the potential to move dramatically higher once sponsors reveal the merger target. Rivian's stock price is currently trading at $47.37, down 39.2% from its November 10 IPO price of $78 per share. In full brain damage euphoria, the stock had risen to $172 per share on November 16, a week after its first stock market debut. Let me know in the comments below if you guys can remember the handful of videos I dropped around that time going, hey guys, valuation, production is hard, not investment advice, but I'm just saying, let me know in the comments below. As for electric and hydrogen truck maker, allegedly, Nikola, its stock has lost nearly 33.6% of its market value compared to its IPO price of $10. Of course, that's also down about 80% from its peak price after IPO. Like I said, the bell curve is real. How much of a fucking moron did you need to be to invest in Nikola stock? I think the answer is a complete and utter moron. I'm just being honest here. Red flags for days. In fact, red flags for years. How did anyone... Anyway, let's move on. Things are even worse for Fraudstown Motors and Hyliion. The Fraudstown stock simply fell apart. From $10 when it debuted in October 2020, it is currently trading at $2.18, a drop of almost 80%. Fraudstown Motors still hasn't produced a single electric vehicle, but the company continues to burn cash and it needs to solve its production problems. Last I heard, they'd issued a going concern statement. If you don't know what that means, I highly recommend you find out. Shares of Hyliion are down over 60% from their IPO price. Why did investors fall in love with these startups? 1. The bell curve. 2. See above. Proponents of electric vehicle manufacturers like to say that these companies represent a promise, the promise of society's transition to a zero-carbon world. Investing in these companies is, therefore, an investment in the future. Therefore, we should not focus on their current income, or lack of income, or anything at all, especially red flags, obvious lies from the founders, the CEOs, clear efforts to pump up the stock price, obvious vaporware products that will never actually be produced, false and misleading claims of having billions of dollars of pre-orders which turn out to be fully refundable, non-binding. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Hopes. The future. Clean energy. Yeah! Great line here describing the current situation at Fraudstown. Quote, "There are some like Fraudstown who have still not managed to build a single vehicle and have already pushed back the production date several times." Never a good sign. Then of course there was a gigantic Rivian fuck-up earlier this week. Quote, "Added to this was an image crisis for Rivian, a self-inflicted wound. Basically, Rivian decided overnight, without warning its customers, to increase the prices of its two models, the electric pickup R1T and the electric SUV, the R1S, both for customers who had already placed their order and for new customers. In other words, retroactive price increases for their earliest supporters. What a brain-dead decision. Customers took this badly. Duh. And the company recorded order cancellations. CEO RJ Scaringe was forced to publicly apologise. Quote, "I have made a lot of mistakes since starting Rivian more than 12 years ago, but this one has been the most painful. I'm truly sorry and committed to rebuilding your trust." I think the only thing dumber than ever owning Nikola stock or maybe buying Rivian stock at $172 per share, yes, it actually hit that price and today I think we're under 50. The only thing dumber than either of those decisions, of course, would be Rivian's choice to completely fuck over their earlier supporters with the price raises which they eventually backflipped on. How dumb can you be? I'm just kidding, those aren't the dumbest things. The dumbest thing, of course, would be Germany voluntarily decommissioning their nuclear power plants, knowing that they're still dependent on countries like Russia for fossil fuels, and by decommissioning those nuclear power plants, they'll become even more dependent. Elon Musk is right. It's absolutely critical to increase output from existing nuclear power plants and to reawaken those that are currently dormant, aka have been shut down. Question is, are there enough people who aren't morons to actually make this happen? I don't know. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and just finally wanted to let everybody know, yesterday I posted a major update, my Tesla price targets all the way out to 2031, plus my Tesla valuation model. The price target's available to all Patreon supporters at all levels, so check the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment to join. And the Tesla valuation model available to supporters at the investor level and above. So check the link in the pinned comment to sign up. You'll also gain instant access to over 100 exclusive Q&As and loads of other content and perks as well. So I'll see you over there. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can get 2 free stocks with WeBull, a free stock with Stake, free Bitcoin with Coinbase, and free Bitcoin with BlockFi, and the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel, and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.